Dr. Martin Rutherford, certified functional medicine practitioner and chiropractor.
Dr. Randall Gates, board certified chiropractic neurologist, also a chiropractor.
And this is Keys to Success number 133. Flash 2 3s at me. Confused me. 133. Our producer sitting back over here. So we're going to talk about gluten products. We had a request last week, and it was illuminate us a little bit more on gluten in shampoos, gluten in face creams, these types of gluten products versus ingesting gluten. And I want you to remember that word, ingesting gluten, because that's a little bit of where we're going to go with this. And we're going to share with you from our observations. I say that because for those of you who aren't in this area, we do have a rather large hospital facility that is slowly gobbling up all of the healthcare in northern Nevada. And they do a class on celiac. And within the framework of that class, they talk about gluten sensitivity, obviously. And they do talk about all of this, and they strongly advise you to stay away from gluten, everything. They'll talk about how you should, as a celiac now, I'm making this clear, as a celiac, somebody who actually has an autoimmune reaction against the gluten protein, that you should use separate plates in a restaurant and separate forks and separate knives. And certainly there are those severely allergic people, sensitive people that have to do that. It has not been my observation that that's the vast majority of celiacs. I'm a celiac. But nevertheless, they're talking about celiac. But we're going to talk about celiac plus gluten sensitivity and these products and what we have observed relative to their reaction to those products. So gluten products, topical versus ingested, I think essentially.
Yeah, I mean, ingested for sure will be an issue. Topical, we have not seen to be an issue. We used to do that. We had a whole gluten-free support group. We had people talking about all the gluten-free shampoos and gluten-free soaps and lotions and all these other compounds. And we never really saw a difference for those that used them versus the ones that didn't use them. So I want to give you that data. We've seen a lot of people, kind of like when we started talking about organic and that our patients that ate organic versus non-organic went in our program on our dietary protocols, we never really saw a difference clinically.
Man, you had mentioned that maybe like chapstick.
Chapstick would be the one thing I would say if you do have celiac disease you want to watch out for. And you want to get a gluten-free chapstick. That is important because that's on your mouth, you're licking your lips, you're absorbing it, you're eating. You're going to get some gluten from that. Now, if you're someone where you have the gluten-dense shampoos and they bother you, well, of course, don't use them.
That's going to be my, yeah.
But I mean, for the most part, for those of you who are wondering about it, I would say we haven't seen it to really be a big thing.
Yeah, and I would concur with that. I mean, living with this thing, and I've used. I just naturally like more natural stuff, and I have for a long time. And I might use olive oil or coconut oil on the dry spots on my face, or I use olive oil on my hair as a conditioner once a week, or things like that. Mainly because it really helps my scalp and things of that nature. So I do use those products, but I strive. I use the Trader Joe's non-allergenic stuff just because I don't know, shampoos don't seem to make that much of a difference to me, and it just naturally think, well, okay. But I have used these other products in between, and I have never seen a reaction. Now understand, if I get a little stressed, I see a reaction. If I do eat gluten, I almost immediately go into brain fog. I mean, if I don't eat, and I might have a little itching, I might feel like I have a little bit of a flu. My bowels will get a little loose. Talking about my bowels, but that will happen to me. It happened to me a week ago Sunday when I ate a couple of gluten-free things that probably weren't completely gluten-free or had other things in them. But I've really never ever noticed that I've used a non-gluten shampoo and it made me itch or anything like that. So that would concur. And then there's just the common sense of People come in and they're eating the best diet in the world, but yet there's good foods that make them not feel good. Well, don't eat them until otherwise figured out, and don't eat them. And as Dr. Gates said, just be aware. You start using a product, and whatever, who knows, what's in the products, and whatever, if you use a product and suddenly you start to itch, use it again, a time or two, you itch, get rid of it. But I would agree. I would concur that it's been a struggle for me, because a lot of patients today come in well educated on SIBO, well educated on leaky gut, well educated on gluten, and you get what's online. And I was reading something the other day on a certain topic, and I thought, wow, this guy is like 5 years behind the curve on the topic that I was reading. But it's the authoritative topic for somebody who reads it and doesn't know that. Okay, and so I think when the gluten thing started, it was gluten everything, because first there was no gluten, first it didn't exist, first it wasn't a problem, then it was a fad, and then it was serious, and then lots of people made their unique selling position based on gluten, and then it was all things gluten, and now as time has gone on and we've seen thousands and thousands and thousands of patients, I would concur that the external products probably are, to the vast majority of people, probably not a problem, and I would go with that. Okay?
I would agree.
All right.
Yeah. So if you have any questions, comments, ideas of things that you want us to talk about, let us know at powerhealthtalk.com. Otherwise, we really appreciate you watching. We'll be back next week.
Number 133 in the can. Bye.